ஆனா அந்த சார்ட்டிக் இல்லையா direct production சார்ட்டிக்கே தான் எழுதணும்.
Yeah. Direct production cost. Okay. So I told you that direct production cost is a cost where you can identify directly with the cost object. Right? If I take a example of say a steel water bottle, to take a steel water bottle as your cost object, right, or a cost unit, you say if I ask questions like how much of steel that you have used to produce 1 unit of a bottle, right? If you can find the answer for that question, then it is a direct one, which means you are identifying the cost related to that product directly with the unit, with the 1 unit. If you couldn't find the answer, you will specify it as the indirect one, right? Okay. So if the object, if the cost object you are asking question, it can be a material one, it can be a labor one, or it can be a other related expense, right? Say, a good example is wooden chairs and wooden tables, right? If I take a wooden table, if I ask a question, how much of square feet of wood that you have used to produce this table, right? And definitely there will be an answer, no? Because we can measure the unit of wood used in that table. So it is a direct material. Wood is a material. So since you can identify the unit of, the amount of wood used in that product directly, then you will classify it as a direct material cost. Okay. Then the table is made by the effort of some human, right? Yeah. You have to use a carpenter's effort in manufacturing a table, right? So normally carpenters charge for, it can be hourly charge or it can be unit charge, right? If carpenter says to make a 1 unit of table, it could cost 1,500 for me. For manufacture a table, you have to pay 1,500 rupees for carpenter. So at that time, it is a labor cost. Carpenter is a labor, then the cost is related to 1 unit of table, 1 unit. Then it became a direct labor cost. You got it? You got it?
No.
No.
Yes. No.
ஒரு டேபிள் ஒன்று எடுப்போம். டேபிள் செய்யறதுக்கு ப்ரொடக்ஷன் காஸ்ட் இருக்குதான். இப்போ நம்மளுக்கு ஜாப் வந்து ஒவ்வொரு காஸ்டையும் கிளாசிஃபை பண்ணணும், ரைட்? எது டிரெக்ட் காஸ்டா இன்டிரெக்ட் காஸ்டான்னு பார்க்கணும், ரைட்டா? ஒரு டேபிள் செய்யறதுக்கு நார்மலா எங்களுக்கு வுட் தேவை, ரைட்டா? ஒரு கார்பெண்டர் கூட்டிட்டு வரணும், ரைட்? nails, paint, varnish, polishing items, அதுக்கு கட் பண்றதுக்கு தேவையான கட்டிங் மெஷின், ஸ்டாண்டிங் மெஷின்ஸ் எல்லாம் தேவை, ரைட்? இப்போ இது எல்லாத்துக்கும் காஸ்ட் இருக்கு தானே? இதெல்லாம் டிஃப்ரெண்டான ஐட்டம், ரைட்டா? இது எல்லாத்தையும் சேர்த்து தான் அந்த டேபிளை நாம செஞ்சு எடுப்போம். செஞ்சு எடுத்த பிறகு, ரைட்டா, நாங்கள் கொஸ்டின் ஒன்று கேட்குறோம், இந்த டேபிளை செய்யறதுக்கு எவ்வளவு வுட் யூஸ் பண்ணீங்க, ரைட்டா? இப்ப ஒரு டேபிளுக்கு இத்தனை ஸ்கிராப், இப்போ 200 ஸ்கொயர் ஃபீட் ஆஃப் வுட் வந்து யூஸ் பண்ணிருக்கான் அப்படின்னு சொன்னா, ரைட்? வுட் ஒரு மெட்டீரியல் தான், மெட்டீரியல், விசிபிள் மெட்டீரியல் இல்லையா? வுட் ஒரு மெட்டீரியல். அதே நேரம் என்ன நடக்குதுன்னா, அந்த வுட் காஸ்ட் வந்து ஒரு யூனிட் டேபிள், ஒரு டேபிளுக்கு இவ்வளவுன்னு சொல்ல எழுது தானே? அந்த சிச்சுவேஷன்ல அது வந்து ஒரு டிரெக்ட் காஸ்ட் ஆஸ் வெல் அஸ் மெட்டீரியல் காஸ்ட் இல்லையா? டிரெக்ட் காஸ்ட் ஆஸ் வெல் அஸ் மெட்டீரியல். அப்புறம் ரெண்டையும் கம்பைன் பண்ணா மெட்டீரியல் காஸ்டா இருக்கும். அப்புறம் ரெண்டையும் கம்பைன் பண்ணா டிரெக்ட் மெட்டீரியல் காஸ்ட். இதே கார்பெண்டர் காஸ்ட் எடுக்கிறோம், ரைட்? கார்பெண்டர்கிட்ட கேட்கிறோம், ஒரு யூனிட் டேபிள், ஒரு டேபிள் செய்ய எவ்வளோ காஸ்ட் உங்களுக்கு போகுது, ரைட்? அவர் சொல்றாரு எனக்கு 1500 போகுது ஒரு டேபிள் செய்யறதுக்கு, ரைட்? இப்போ பார்க்குறோம் கார்பெண்டர் வந்து லேபர் காஸ்ட், ரைட்? அதே நேரம் டிரெக்டா ஒரு டேபிளுக்கும் ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ண ஏழுது, கேன் ஐடென்டிஃபை. ஸோ ரெண்டையும் கம்பைன் பண்றோம், direct cost as well as labor cost. So direct labor cost. Clear? இல்ல
அப்படி அப்படி direct cost இருந்து அப்படி indirect போனுச்சுனா
direct cost இருந்து
indirect இப்ப நீங்க
direct cost இருந்தா indirect க்கு போகல, அது labor cost இருந்து indirect க்கு போகலாம். ஓகே,
அப்படி ஒரு நேரம் அது indirect labor cost ஆ போயிடும்.
அது இப்ப நார்மலா எடுப்போமே ஒரு காஸ்ட் ஒன்று கிளீனர் காஸ்ட் ஒரு ஒரு ஃபர்னிச்சர் மேனுஃபேக்சர் இடத்துல, ரைட்? டிம்பர் ஃபேக்டரி ஒன்றுல, ரைட்? டிம்பர் மால் ஒன்றுல இருக்காரு கிளீனிங் ஸ்டாஃப் இருக்கு, ரைட்? கிளீனிங் ஸ்டாஃப் கிட்ட போயிட்டு கேட்குறீங்க ஒரு டேபிளை காட்டி, ரைட்? இந்த டேபிளை கிளீன் பண்றதுக்கு உங்களுக்கு எவ்வளவு காஸ்டிங்? அவர் என்ன டேபிளுக்கு சார்ஜிங் தனித்தனியாக சார்ஜ் பண்ணி இருப்பாரு? இல்ல, அவருக்கு அந்த பிளேஸ் ஃபுல்லா கிளீன் பண்றதுக்கு தான் சார்ஜ். அவர் அதுக்கு தானே ஃபீ பே பண்ணுவாங்க. பெரிய டேபிள்னா இவ்வளவு, சின்ன டேபிள்னா இவ்வளோன்னு சொல்லுவாரு அவரு கிளீன் பண்ண? இல்லைண்ணா, அந்த நேரம் கிளீனர் வந்து ஒரு லேபர் காஸ்ட். Again, cleaner is a labor, yes. So labor cost, but direct cost of direct ஒரு டேபிளுக்கு சார்ஜ் சொல்ல இல்ல. அப்ப
ஒரு யூனிட்,
எஸ், அந்த நேரம் நம்மளுக்கு ஒரு டேபிளுக்கோ அல்லது ஒரு சேர்க்கோ டைரக்டா ஐடென்டிஃபை பண்ண இயலாதனால அது இன்டிரெக்ட் காஸ்ட். So indirect cost at same time labor cost. So indirect labor cost. Got it? Got it? இல்ல, இன்னும் இல்ல. இப்படி இருக்குமே, இப்ப ஒரு சேரை வார்னிஷ் பண்றதுக்கு ஒரு வார்னிஷ் பெயிண்ட் அளவு, வார்னிஷ் பெயிண்ட் எத்தனை வார்னிஷ் கேன்ஸ் போகுதுன்னு பார்க்கணும், ரைட்? So if we say to paint a particular chair, wooden chair, it would cost 500 milliliters of varnish. Right? At that point of time, varnish is a material. It's a material cost. At the same time, you can identify that varnish cost directly to particular chair, one chair. Right? So direct cost. So I'm combining the direct material cost. Okay. Say another example using the same chair or table. You know, to cut that wood and to what they call the sharpening the edges and shine that material, you use some machineries, no? Cutting machinery, shining machineries, and sharpening machineries and all. So that machineries need to use oil. No? You need to both machine oil and you have to insert that oil to that machine. Right? At that point, if you right, think about it and tell me whether you can identify the oil cost related to one particular chair. The machine oil cost related to one particular chair. Can you? Yeah, someone answer me.
No, can't.
Yeah, you can't, right? Yes. You can't answer such questions because those things are, even though it is a material, oil is a material, right? Oil is a material cost, but I can't say to polish this particular chair I use this much of this much of machine oil. No, it is impossible to answer because you will you will polish the particular chart and you will move to another table and you will now move to another sofa set. The same machine or no, that you cannot identify with selected object. At that point of time, that became indirect material or indirect labor. Got it? Right. With that explanation, we'll move to the direct production cost. Okay. I'll explain to you what is direct production cost. So as I told you, direct production cost is something you have production cost here. Okay. Production cost, we classify this into direct and indirect. Right. Now I'm telling you about this one, direct. Which this direct cost has three elements, namely direct material, direct labor, and direct other expense. Okay. We want to study about this entire section. Once we finish this, we can move to this part. So under that mention, the cost that can be directly identified, the cost that can be directly identified, the cost that can be directly identified, the cost that can be directly identified with a
direct production cost க்கு தான சொல்றீங்க?
Yeah, heading is direct production cost. Under that first point, the cost that can be directly identified with the unit of production,
directly identified
with the unit of production
with the
regarded as direct cost.
The cost that can be directly identified with the unit of
production is regarded as direct cost.
Is regarded
as direct cost. என்ன இன்னைக்கு மக்காக்கள் ஒருத்தன சத்தம் இல்லை, லவ் பண்ணி வச்சுட்டு போயிட்டாங்களோ இது எனக்கு. Right, second point. A direct cost is a direct cost is a price that can be direct cost is a price that can be directly tied. Price that can be directly tied. PIE.
The direct cost is a
direct cost is a price that can be directly tied. Price that can be directly tied. PIED.
Pride.
Tied.
Direct cost is a
price. That price the PRICE price.
Tried.
Direct cost is a tried.
Price. Direct cost is a price. PRICE.
P-A-T-A.
Price the price. PRICE.
PRIT.
அதாவது price வேலை
price
direct cost is a price that can be directly tied. TIED. to the production
can
cost
be
directly tied.
directly
Tied. T-I-E-D. Tied பண்றது.
direct cost is a திருப்பி சொல்லுவானே விளங்கவே இல்ல.
Direct cost is a
price
that can be directly tied
tied
to the production of specific good or service.
directly tied
Tied. T-I-E-D.
ஆனா சத்தம் வருது பேசுறது அதுதான் பேசுறோட விளையாண்டு இல்ல
என்ன சொல்றது?
அத பேச்சு direct
directly tied. T-I-E-D. Tied to a specific good or service. Specific good or service. Right. Okay, I'm reading from the first point. First point is
okay
the cost can be directly identified with the unit of production is regarded as direct cost. Second point, a direct cost is a price that can be directly tied to the production of specific good or service. Right. Third one, a direct cost can be traced to the cost object. A direct cost
cost
can be traced. T-R-A-C-E. Direct cost can be traced to the cost object. To the cost object.
to the cost object.
Yes, cost object. Right. Fourth point, direct cost can be identified. Direct cost can be identified in three elements. Identified in three elements. Direct cost can be identified in three elements.
ஆனா third point சொன்னா direct cost can be trade to the cost object தானே
Not trade. Trace. T-R-A-C-E. Trace.
T-R-A-C-E trace
Trace.
trace to the cost object.
Object. Fourth point.
Cost தானே
Yes, cost object.
Fourth point, direct cost can be identified in three elements.
Three elements. Right. One by one. Direct material, direct labor, other direct cost.
Direct material, direct labor, direct other cost.
Direct other cost. Okay. Right. Now subheading direct material cost. Direct material cost. Right. Under that.
Okay.
So we discussed about direct material, right? It should be a material cost which is related, which can be identified directly to the cost object. So those kind of costs are known as the direct material cost, right? You mentioned that direct material cost is a cost of physical resources. Direct material cost is a cost of physical resources that can be directly identified. With a unit of production. with a unit of production. Okay. Next point. Direct material refers to cost of material. Direct material refers to cost of material which became which not became which becomes which becomes a major part of the finished product, which becomes a major part of the finished product, major part of the finished product. Example one by one. Right. First example, raw cotton in textile. RAW, raw cotton.
Raw cotton.
Cotton, COTTON.
Raw cotton. Used.
Raw cotton in textile.
In textile. Okay.
Crude oil to make diesel. CRUDE, crude oil to make diesel. Steel to make automobile. Steel, STEEL. Steel to make automobile.
Steel.
Oh yeah, steel.
Steel to make automobile. Okay.
Right. Paper and ink to print a book. Paper and ink to print a book. Wood to make a wooden table. Wood to make a wooden table. Wood to make a wooden table. Right. So those are the examples for direct material cost. Okay. So material is which things are physical resources, right? Which is visible and tangible.
ஆனா பேப்பர் அண்ட் இங்க் வந்து ஒரு புக்குக்கு எவ்வளவுன்னு சொல்லலாமா?
You can't. If you bought a printer, okay? If you bought a printer, you can buy an ink bottle or cartridge, right? That cartridge or the ink bottle says how many pages you can print. Okay. Yeah, that says you that in the description of that bottle, it says you can use up to this much of page.
This much of pages.
Okay.
So the book pages வச்சு எவ்வளவு ink இருக்குன்னு சொல்லி மெஷர் பண்ணலாம்.
Yes. You can trace that. Okay. You can trace to each page.
So for a unit thing we can find.
Yeah, you can find. Right. So that is the direct material. Okay. Right. I'm moving to the second part. Direct labor cost. Subheading. Direct labor cost. Right. Under direct labor cost, direct labor cost are the direct labor cost are the direct labor cost are the salaries and wages. Direct labor cost are the salaries and wages that are incurred that are incurred that are incurred in order to produce a specific good or service. In order to produce specific good or a service. Direct labor cost are the salaries and wages that are incurred in order to produce specific good or service. Second point, direct labor cost is expanded directly upon the direct labor cost is expended directly upon the material compressing the finished product. Material compressing the finished product. Direct labor cost is expended, direct labor is expended directly upon the material compressing the finished product.
The cost is expanded directly upon the materials compressing the finished product.
Right? Compressing is C-O-N-P-R-E-S-S-I-N-G. Compressing. Right. Examples. One by one. Machine operators and assemblers cost. Machine operators and assemblers cost. Machine operators and assemblers cost. Second one. Salary for the book printing staff. Salary for the book printing staff. Salary for the book printing staff. Third one. Carpenter cost in making wooden tables. Carpenter cost in making wooden table. Carpenter cost in making wooden table. Okay. So labor cost, as I said, those are the cost of human effort. So you can become a labor cost in making, say, if you are involved in manufacturing a cake piece, right? If you're making cake for Christmas in your own area in your home, if you put your effort in making or beating the cake, then you will become a labor cost to make that cake, right? If your cost is directly identified with that one cake, then you become a direct labor cost. Got it? Okay. Cool. So we discussed the direct material and labor. So we are moving to other direct expenses. Third subheading, other direct expenses. Under that mention, these include These includes.
Example is that much. Only 3.
Yeah, only 3.
After that, this includes.
After that, other direct expenses. Subheading. Under subheading other direct expenses, mention the first point. This includes any expenses. These include any expenses other than direct material and direct labor. This includes any expenses other than direct material and direct labor.
This includes any
expenses other than direct material and direct labor. Direct material and direct labor, but directly incurred, but directly incurred, on a specific cost of unit, right? Number one. Sorry, that's all. That's all about the direct expenses. Go to the examples one by one. I'm reading the same point again. This includes any expenses other than direct material and direct labor, but directly incurred on a specific cost of unit. Okay. Then examples. Number one. Royalty payment to the author of a book. Royalty payment to the author of a book. Royalty payment to the author of a book.
Royalty payment na?
Royalties means, say if you are directing a film, okay? What you do is you will find a director, what we call producer. He will produce the film, okay? He will make the film, right? And you will. So see, different person. You are the person who writing the story, but someone is producing that. Someone is making that, and someone will sell that. Someone else will sell that to the theater. Okay. So now the payment for directors will be based on how many shows that are running in the theater, right? Then only these producers and directors will get paid. The director will say, if you're showing my movie on a theater, we have to pay, say for one show, you have to pay 100,000 rupees for one show, or for one month, or any kind. We'll say for one show, direct asking, if you show my movie in one theater for one show, I will charge 100,000. That's called royalty. Okay, that is called royalty. Right? And the same principle is applied for books as well. Books, songs, music, research papers, same. What you do is, so what I'll tell you my story. I do researches, okay? I do researches and I will send those things to who publishing those researches. Right? There are publishers worldwide and locally. There are people who buying researches from us and they publish it. So once we publish it, the people will read that research. Right? According to how many people reading the research, I will be get paid. Right? For I will say if one person read my research, you have to pay 800 rupees, 900 rupees per what you call a reader. That's called me. I am the author of the research, so I will be get paid according to how many people downloading it or how many people reading that research. So same as the YouTube. So you can make a video and you can upload it to the YouTube. According to the views, which means the advertisement paid, the person who making the video will be get paid. Those things are called royalty fees. YouTube is paying you if you run your YouTube channel. So you will be whatever the fee you are receiving is royalties. Got it? Got it or not?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So same thing happens to KFC, McDonald's, Burger King, Pizza Hut, Domino's, LG.
Royalty fee?
Yeah. What happens is, so if you see KFC, Burger King, those things are run by different companies. The brand is same, the products are same, but different companies. In Sri Lanka, Burger King is run by ShopLogic company, KFC is run by Cargill, and I'm not sure about McDonald's, who is running McDonald's. Right. It should be Abans or something. Right. It should be Abans. I'm not sure. So what happens is, the owner of the KFC is different. Right? He will give a license to Cargill to run KFC in Sri Lanka. So what Cargill do is Cargill will find places and they will do everything, and they use the name of KFC here. They use the global brand KFC here. Right? The KFC company they do advertisements, the product and the recipes, ingredients, everything they will send. Right? What you have to do is you have to comply with the rules and regulations. To according to the recipe, you will make the product and you will sell it, and eventually you have to pay a royalty fee for the actual parent company. Right? Everything, every global brands are like that. KFC, McDonald's, Starbucks. What else we have? Baskin Robbins ice cream company. What else we have? Some hotels are there. Global hotels. If you see Shangri-La here, it is run by a local person, but the name is Shangri-La. Shangri-La is a world's, it is a what we call hotel chain. They have branches all over the world. Okay, that is run in the name of Shangri-La, but a local person is owning that, or not owning, running that. Right, but the name is Shangri-La Hotels. It has a brand recognition. Right, right. That's royalty about. And second example and other direct expenses. Cost of hiring special machinery or plant. Cost of hiring special machinery or plant. Cost of hiring special machinery or plant.
Next one.
Yeah.
Next example.
Yeah. Next example.
Cost of hiring
special machinery or plant.
Special machinery or plant.
Special machinery or plant?
Plant.
Plant. PLANT. ஓகே, அது வேற ஒன்றும் இல்லை, சிம்பிள். சும்மா நான் வந்து வெட்டிங்க்கு எங்கேயும் போறேன்னா பிளேசஸ் ஹயர் பண்ணுவோம் இல்லையா, நான் பிளேசஸ் போயிட்டு ஓனா வாங்குறது குறவு தானே, ஹயர் பண்றது தானே கூட. அதுதான் ஸ்பெஷல் ஈவெண்ட்டுக்கு ஸ்பெஷலாக வாங்குறோம்.
காஸ்ட் ஆஃப் ஹையரிங் ஸ்பெஷல் மெஷினரி ஆர் பிளான்ட்.
ஸ்பெஷல் மெஷினரி ஆர் பிளான்ட்.
அப்போ ஒரு ஈவெண்ட்டுக்காக மட்டும் அந்த மெஷினரியோட இருக்குமா?
ஒரு பர்டிகுலர் ப்ராடக்ட் செய்யறதுக்காக மட்டும் அந்த மெஷினரி அவங்கள்ட்ட வந்திருப்போம். ஓகே, பட் third one cost of special modules, designs and packing. Cost of special modules, designs and packing.
Special module,
design and packing. Packing. PATTERN. Packing.
and pattern. Okay.
Right. Like engineers, architects, what else? Costume designers. What else? Yeah, designers. Those people are creating designs and graphic designers as well. Animation creators. Those people are creating modules, right? People creating modules. Yeah. So there are companies, like you might heard about Pixar company, Disney company, and
What company?
Pixar, Disney, WB, HBO, right? So these companies are creating modules, okay? Cartoons, films, the modules are there. Okay. What happens is, if you see, let's take Avengers list. Avengers is a long series. It is a long, a book, right? The characters inside that book is fictionalized by another company. It is designed by another company. What you see in the screen as Iron Man, what you seeing in the screen
only the story will be Marvel's one.
Yeah, story. Yes, sorry.
Marvel's, but the character.
Story is a different person who writes the person. It is, I think, Stanley. Right? Stanley is the person who writes the story. But the Marvel is the company who designed those, who created those characters. What you see in the screen, the costumes, the hairstyle. So those things are owned by that company. Okay. If you see in Avengers, there is a Spider-Man character. If you see that Spider-Man character, that is different from what you see in the previous Spider-Man film. Okay. That's because the character in those films, those characters are created by different companies, not by Marvel. Okay. That is the issue here. Right. And those things are like modules. Like architects, they do designing, interior design, and the building designs and all. Engineers, they do designing as well. No? So those things you can charge if you in the late November. Port City, you know Port City, right? Port City has a competition to build the wall, design the wall. That is a local university that is open for local university architects and local engineers. Okay, one of the best design is selected by that company, and that architect is well paid now. They pay money for that. Okay, so those things are That is for that particular design. Okay. That's why they say direct other expense. You can say for if they say for one book I'm charging this much of royalty. If you sell one book, you have to pay me 200 rupees. Okay. You got it what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you purchase, say, you are purchasing a famous mathematics books from a particular shop, say Poobalazingam shop. So if you buy that book, Poobalazingam bookshop has to pay some sort of money to the person who writes that book. Okay. Each unit they sell, they have to pay the royalty for the author. That's called direct other expenses. But that's all about other expense. Let's move to indirect production cost. Let's move to indirect production cost. Now your main category is finished. Direct production cost is finished. We discussed what is direct production cost. There are three elements: direct material, direct labor, and direct other expense. So we finished those three. Now we are moving to second big heading. That's called indirect production cost. Indirect production cost. Right, under that, a cost that are incurred, costs that are incurred for the overall production process, costs that are incurred for the overall production process, but cannot,
The cost that are incurred
for the overall production process, but cannot directly be identified. Cannot directly be identified with a unit of production. Is known as indirect production cost. Right. Indirect production cost comprises of following. Indirect production cost comprises of following. Indirect production cost comprises of following. Right. What are the things under the
indirect material?
Yeah.
Indirect material, indirect labor.
Indirect material cost, indirect labor cost, other indirect expense. Right. Subheading indirect material cost. Indirect material cost. Right. Under that mention, indirect material refers to indirect material refers to indirect material refers to materials that are needed for the production. Sorry, materials that are needed for the completion. Materials that are needed for the completion.
For the
That are needed for the completion of a product. Completion of a product.
completion ஆ
Completion.
ஆனா அது கொஞ்சம் ஸ்பெல் பண்ணு. PLE
PION.
TA
Completion of a product, but whose consumption
but wood consumption
whose whose consumption
whose consumption
with regard to the final product, whose consumption but whose consumption with regard to the whose
WHO WHO
SE, whose consumption is but whose consumption with regard to the final product is so small in bracket
so small
in bracket
regarded to the final
product is so small. Final product is so small.
so small
So
ரொம்ப சின்னது
so small in bracket or so complex
also complex
of the bracket it would not be appropriate to that it would not be appropriate to bracket close பண்ணு also complex ஓட bracket close பண்ணி that it would not be appropriate to treat it as a direct material item. That it would not be appropriate to it would not be appropriate to treat it as a direct material item.
That it would not be appropriate to
treat it as a direct material item.
think it as a
treat TREATE
treat it as a
right. So I'm reading
appropriate to treat it as a
direct material item.
okay.
I'm reading that again. Indirect material refers to materials that are needed for the completion of a product, but whose consumption with regard to the final product is so small or so complex that it would not be appropriate to treat it as a direct material item. Okay. Second point, the costs that are incurred for the material. Second point, the costs that are incurred for the material but cannot be directly recognized with the costs that are incurred for the material but cannot be directly recognized with a unit of production is known as the indirect material cost. Examples one by one. Cost of sandpaper in making a table. Cost of sandpaper in making a table.
Cost of sandpaper.
Sand, S-A-N-D. Sandpaper.
Paper in making a table.
Second one, lubricant oil. Lubricant. Lubricant oil for book printing machine. Lubricant oil for book printing machine. Third one, hard tools. HARDTOOLS. Hard tools and work stationery. Hard tools and work stationery. But if you see the examples, first, I said to make a wooden table, we can directly identify how much of square foot of wood is required, how many nails and bolts are required, how many liters or milliliters of paint varnish is required. But it is very difficult or it is very complex to decide or to answer how many sandpapers used to polish a table. That is, it is the same. Sandpaper, the cost is very small, as well as material also very small. Sandpaper is a small piece, no, right? You cannot, in a very say, if you manufacturing only 1 or 2 tables, it is okay. You can identify how many papers you purchase, how many of them are used in one particular table. But in a factory who's making hundreds and thousands of wooden products, in that factory, it is very difficult to identify how much of sandpaper used to particular machine, particular table. It is very difficult. That's why, even though sandpaper is a material, it became indirect material. It not became a direct material. The same case for lubricant oil, as I said earlier, right? soil, if you're using a machinery, each time you have to input grease oil, right? So the usual name we call is grease oil, right? So it is called lubricant. So if you're using machinery or vehicles, the lubricant oils are very important. Like an engine oil, okay? Like engine oil in vehicle, lubricant oils are important when you're using machinery, right? Especially cutting machinery and printing machines. I mean the industrial printing machine. Those things you should have a lubricant maintenance, right? So in a large production scale, it is very difficult to identify how much of lubricant oil used to print a particular newspaper to manufacture or to print a particular newspaper, one newspaper, how much lubricant oil used. It is very difficult. It is complex to answer that question, but it is easy to answer how much of paper and ink used for particular newspaper, one particular newspaper. But it is difficult to answer the questions like how much of lubricant oil used, right? So that question is complex. Third one is hard tools and work stationaries are, as I told you, the brush depreciation. We studied depreciation, machine depreciation, and we can calculate depreciation for wall machinery, but we can't identify how much is the depreciation for to manufacture one unit. How much depreciation to manufacture one unit of table, chair, or something? It is very difficult to answer. Okay, so those things became a direct. Depreciation is not a material. I'm just taking it to as an example. Depreciation is the other expense. Okay, but what I'm saying is the indirect part. Okay, hope you understood that. Right, if you have any doubts, let me know. I will explain this. Right, move to the second part. Second subheading, indirect labor cost. Indirect labor cost. Indirect labor cost. Indirect labor cost. Under that, indirect labor can be defined as, indirect labor can be defined as labor which does not affect the labor which does not affect the completion of composition does not affect the completion of composition of the finished product. Not a subtle. Right. Completion or composition of the finished product. Okay, what I'm saying is, if say carpenter in a wood making a wooden table, if carpenter is not there, then you cannot complete that particular table, right? At the same time, if cleaner is absent but in particular day, it won't affect your completion of the table. Carpenter will do his job even though the cleaner is not there, right? So that's what I am saying. The indirect labor will not affect the completion of the product. Okay, right. Like in a school, if the teacher is absent, then then it is difficult to take the particular subject. If teacher is absent. In case if the office class is absent, that does not affect the teaching works. Only teaching works interrupted if teacher is absent. Right? If the office class is not adjourned, your teaching activities won't affect. So in that case, teacher is a direct labor. The office class is a indirect labor. Right? So that's what difference between direct and indirect labor. The second point, this is the labor cost incurred for the employees. This is the labor cost incurred for the employees. This is the labor cost incurred for the employees. Labor cost incurred for the employees who are who are not directly involved with production process. 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 Okay. Next one. Sorry. Under examples, one by one. Number one, salary for the factory supervisor and manager. Salary for the factory supervisor and manager. Salary for the factory supervisor and manager. Right. So supervisor and manager. So those people want involved in the manufacturing process. They do administration and supervising activity, not in the production activity. Right? Manager won't cut what we call the woods. No, manager won't polish the woods. Supervisor won't polish the woods. He will supervise it. No, if he is absent, it won't matter. The work will continue, which means the manufacturing activities will be continued. Right? Wages for the general helpers and cleaners. Wages for the general helpers and cleaners. Wages for the general helpers and cleaners. Third one, salaries for the material handlers and plant guards. Salaries for the material handlers and plant guards. Plant guard means security, okay? The watchman. Salaries for the material handlers and plant guards. Right. Moving to the third subheading, other indirect cost. Other indirect cost. Under that, under other indirect cost, all other indirect costs incurred in the production. All other indirect costs incurred in the production. All other indirect costs incurred in the production, other than the indirect material and indirect labor, other than indirect material and indirect labor, are known as the other indirect cost. Are known as the other indirect cost. Right. All other indirect costs incurred in the production, other than the indirect material and indirect labor, is known as other indirect cost. Examples, one by one. Factory rent, factory insurance, machinery insurance, electricity and other utility charges. electricity and other utility charges. Right. So far, we discussed the definition for production cost. Okay. Then we studied about direct and indirect cost, right? And the elements of these things. We said material, labor, and other expense. At the same time, for this also we studied for material, labor, and other. Right. Now we finish this chapter or these concepts. We just completed the concept. We didn't do any counting yet. We just completed the concept. What does it mean? Right? Definitions and a few examples. Right. So tomorrow we will be studying the equations and calculations, and we will do some examples actually. Okay. So when you come tomorrow, read these notes and come up with a very clear understanding of what these concepts are, or else you will be confused with cost items, because we will do more practical questions. Right? So read these notes. You can buy out and come. Right? So that's all for the day. I think we have few homework also, no? But no one has charged me. Am I right? Yeah. homework கேட்டா சத்தம் இல்லாம இருக்கீங்க எல்லாரும்.
என்ன homework?
homework தரலையா?
என்னதுதான் அந்த ரெண்டு பிசிக்ஸ் அந்த இன்கம் ஸ்டேட்மெண்ட் செஞ்சிருக்கோம்.
Okay, whatever the homework, we have to send me by 5 o'clock, okay? So another 15 minutes, send all the homework. I have to speak.
Right. All the homework na?
I didn't remember what the homeworks are, but I remember I gave you homework. Okay. Check it and yes, we took only one question. There's another question to be corrected. No?
Actually.
That one is with you, not corrected yet. So send me those answers. Right. So that is up to date. We'll meet you on tomorrow, okay? Hopefully the same time.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for joining.
Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you.